Hi, I'm Jacob Gallucci, and right now I'd like to present a list of more famous people that I've seen over the years. And a few months earlier, I talked about a handful of people that I'd seen over the years, such as Joakim Noah at Fogarty's Show, Bill Wennington, Will Perdue, among others. But here's a list of other people that I've seen. I have this written down. Kenny Williams, actually, yes, Kenny Williams, the former White Sox GM. I was with my dad, and we were walking into this breakfast place let me see, it's on Maxwell Street, just east of Halsted. It's called Hash Browns. This was about maybe 4 or 5 years ago, maybe. I was walking in there with my dad, and Kenny Williams was walking out. It was crazy. He was wearing sunglasses, and he's a pretty tall guy, actually. He seemed okay. He was kind of, quiet, and he kept to himself, but it was crazy to see Kenny Williams up close. It really was. My dad my dad goes to this restaurant sometimes called Stacks. It's on Taylor Street, and he's been there a couple times, and he said that the times that he's been to Stacks many times, but a couple times that he's been there, he's actually seen Harold Baines. Yes, Harold Baines, the legendary White Sox player, and he's also a coach with the team now. And my dad's talked to him a couple times. He says that Harold Baines is really a nice guy. Yeah. I saw Matsui up close. He was a fullback with the Bears in the 1980s, and he was on the '85 team, actually, the team that won the Super Bowl. He was on the team that won the Super Bowl, and I was with my parents. This was back in, I want to say, the summer of probably about 1996. We were at the Walgreens right by Portillo's and the Rock and Roll McDonald's. It's like at let me think here. It's at Ontario and Clark, and he was coming out of this car with a couple friends of his, and it was definitely Matsui. Yes. I saw Jerry Springer and Steve Wilkos, I want to say twice, actually, at a White Sox game. I think the White Sox were playing the Yankees on both occasions, but I saw Jerry Springer and Steve Wilkos up close, I swear to God. Let's see, Paul Conrad, he's been doing the weather on the WGN Morning News since 1996. I saw him at this bar and grill called Moretti's. It was at Ashland, not Ashland. It was at Paulina and Jackson, and it's no longer there. But it was definitely him. He was at the ATM machine, and I asked him if he was Paul Conrad, and he said yes. And I was with my dad that night, and this was probably in about 1998, I would say. But anyway. I was at this thing in 1998. In October of 1998, they had this White Sox fan appreciation night at the stadium, and a bunch of White Sox legends were there. And I have pictures with them. I'll show you here. They're on my phone, and the pictures are on my phone, and they're reversed because this video's reversed. But anyway, I'm standing here in front of a Carlton Fisk poster, and then this picture's I have this picture here with Moose Skowron and Jerry Hairston Sr. Yes, right here. It's Moose Skowron and then Jerry Hairston Sr. And then here's me and Jerry Hairston Sr. Together. This is Minnie Minoso. Yes, me and Minnie Minoso, I swear to God. And here's me and Bill Melton. Bill Melton, another White Sox legend. And last but not least, this is Ron Kittle. Me and Ron Kittle right here. But yeah, it was nice to meet some White Sox legends, and in all honesty, I think Minnie Minoso should be in the Hall of Fame. I think he was the first black Latino player in baseball. He paved the way for other great black Latino players such as Roberto Clemente and Orlando Cepeda. But let's see who else. Gene Honda, yes, Gene Honda, the White Sox and Blackhawks PA announcer. I saw him on Wabash Avenue, right outside the Palmer House Hilton. This was the weekend of White Sox, the White Sox Fan Fest. It was Saturday, January 25th of this year, and he was right outside the hotel, and he was actually smoking a cigarette, and I was surprised. I mean, how can a guy with such a great voice be a smoker? I mean, you'd think with all the smoking, his voice would sound horrible, but he's got a phenomenal voice. He's a small guy too. I'm about 5'9", and he's maybe a little shorter than I am, actually. Yeah. Sometimes he's also on Channel 11 as well. He does excuse me, he does the telethons on Channel 11, and it was weird to see him up close. It really was. Jerry Reinsdorf, I saw. I was with my dad at Manny's. Manny's is this Jewish deli slash cafeteria. It's on Jefferson, just north of Roosevelt Road, and this was right after the 2007 season, and the White Sox were just awful that year. And I want to say it was in early 2008. I was with my dad, and excuse me, Jerry Reinsdorf was there with a couple other guys, and he sat down, and everyone began to look at him, and it was weird to see Reinsdorf up close. It really was. It was crazy. And he seemed like a nice guy, We actually talked. My dad and I talked to him for a couple minutes. He's not a bad guy, really, and even he agreed that 2007 was a bad year, and he promised things would be better in 2008, and they actually were. We made the playoffs that year, and even though we lost in the LDS against Tampa Bay, 2008 was a pretty good year. Excuse me, but let's see. I actually saw Will Perdue again on September 11th, 2013. He was at the Clark and Lake platform in downtown Chicago, and I was on the side where the brown line and the green line comes in, like the green line to Harlem and the brown line to Kimball, and he was on the other side, and he's huge. Will Perdue is so big, my God. The guy's a giant. He's like 7'1", so yeah, it's insane. Who else? There's a few others. Doug Buffone. He's a former Bears player. He was a linebacker from 1966 until 1979 with the Bears, and I believe he's the only Bears player to be a teammate of Gale Sayers, Dick Butkus, and Walter Payton. He's the only Bear to play with Sayers, Butkus, and Payton, yes. He went into Stax one day as well. I was with my dad, and he walked into Stax, and he's a big guy. He's huge. And he's a nice guy. He's all right. He actually doesn't live too far from me. He lives only like a few blocks away from me, and he's an okay guy. And I actually saw Jesse Jackson. Yes, Jesse Jackson Sr. He was right by Mario's on Taylor Street, like by Mario's and Al's Beef. He was crossing from like Al's Beef, and then he was going to Mario's. Yes, this was this past summer. Jesse Jackson, it was him. It was definitely Jesse Jackson. He's a big guy. He's huge. And he was at a White Sox game, too, a few years ago. They showed him on the big screen, and the whole stadium booed him like crazy. I mean, I can see why. I mean, he's hated. Jesse Jackson is hated, really. I think I saw Lovie Smith one time while he was still the Bears head coach. I saw him on State Street one time. This was probably about 4 or 5 years ago. It looked like him. It definitely did. He was with a white woman, so I think it was him because he has a white wife, and I really think it was Lovie Smith. Yes. And going back to Gale Sayers, I actually saw Gale Sayers once at Nordstrom's, the one in River North, like at Rush Street and like Grand Avenue. It was definitely him, Gale Sayers. Yep. And he was with his wife, and it was weird to see Gale Sayers up close. It really was. It was crazy. Gale Sayers. This was probably about 3 or 4 years ago that I saw him. And Phil Simms, I think I saw actually this past fall. I think I want to say like in November maybe. He was on State Street, just north of Lake. There's a hotel there, like at the side of, on the side of the street where the Chicago Theater's at. It's past like this. It's past like the train, and then you have that hotel. And I saw him walking like right near that hotel. I'm almost positive it was him. And the Bears were actually in town that week against the Ravens, and the game was in, I think the game was in October or November, but I'm almost positive it was Phil Simms. It looked like him. He had the blonde hair, and he's an older guy. And this past summer, I saw Linda Yu. Linda Yu, the ABC 7 news reporter, and well, she's a news anchor actually, but she was at North Avenue Beach this past summer, and I was watching this this dodgeball game. A bunch of people were playing dodgeball. I was checking it out, and she came up to it. You know, it was her and her husband, and she's a tiny thing. She's like really short. She's probably at most like 5'1", 5'2", and she was with her husband, and her husband's a white guy, and he's taller than I am, so he's a little over 6 feet tall, I would say, and it was definitely her. It was weird to see her up close. I was like, wow, Linda Yu. It's crazy. And I've seen Jerry Taft many times outside of Channel 7 studios. He smokes cigarettes. He's a smoker. Yes, he is. Jerry Taft, the weatherman on Channel 7. He's a smoker. I swear to God. Let's see. Randy Brown, the former Bulls guard. I saw him at a Bulls game. He was walking down he was walking on the concourse. I saw him a couple years ago. Judge Greg Mathis, I've seen. He was at a Bulls game as well. And let's see. I've seen Chet Kopic a couple times. I saw him outside of Greek Islands on Halsted and Adams. And another time I saw him I was at this restaurant called Gennaro's. I was with my dad, and Gennaro's closed in December of 2009, and Chet Kopic was there that day with another guy, and he's a nice enough guy. He's big. Chet Kopic is huge. And there have been others. Mike Flannery, he's a news reporter. Now he's on Channel 32 here in Chicago, Fox 32, and at the time, he was still on CBS 2, and he came into my grade school, Andrew Jackson Language Academy. This was back when I want to say, I was in 6th grade at the time, so this was 1999, 2000. And he came into our classroom, and he interviewed some of the students, not me, though. He interviewed a couple people. I remember him coming in, and the camera was there and everything. It was crazy. I forgot why the news was there, but it was weird to see him up close. He's a big guy. He really is. And there have been a couple others. I've seen other news people over the years, like at this restaurant called Palace Grill. I've seen Evelyn Holmes, Mike Parker. Let me see. Another person. This is the last one. Corey McFerrin I've seen on 3 separate occasions. I was at this White Sox summer baseball camp in the summer of 1999, and his son was in the camp, and he was there every day, and it was a 1-week thing. It was Monday to Friday, and on Friday we were on TV. Corey McFerrin, he got like the Fox crew to come, and I was on TV, and it was crazy, but another time I saw Corey McFerrin was at the Erie Crown Theater, like right next to McCormick Place. They had after the White Sox had won the World Series, they showed this special DVD that celebrated them winning the World Series, and Richard Roper was also there that night. Richard Roper, Bobby Jenks, and I forgot who the other player was. I want to say maybe Scott Podsednik, but yeah, Corey McFerrin was there, and just the other day, this past Friday, which was January 31st, I saw him on Taylor Street at Taylor and May, right outside of Chez Joel. It's a French restaurant there, and Corey McFerrin, he was with I'm guessing he was with his wife his son, and his son actually ended up going to St. Ignatius. He's a couple years younger than I am. His name is Jack McFerrin. There was an older guy with him too, I think. So I'm guessing it was either Corey's father or maybe his wife's father, but it was definitely him up close. Yeah, it was definitely him. And St. Ignatius was playing Loyola that night, and Loyola just killed him. It was a basketball game at Ignatius, and they're big rivals. And Loyola killed him that night, and it was weird to see Corey McFerrin up close, but it was definitely him. And anyway, those are just a list of some of the other celebrities that I've seen over the years. And anyway, I'm sorry for rambling here, but anyway, I'll be back next week with 3 new videos, and until then, take care.